Here in a second, I will give you some examples to work on at home, and you can pause the video and try to do the problems from beginning to end, and then turn the video back on and see how you did. Okay, before we do that, I want to give you a quick outline of the steps because it came over 2 or 3 videos already, and so maybe we've lost track of where we started. Okay, but the first big step is to find the lowest common denominator. Now, remember that in order to do that, there were kind of 2 sub-steps there. First, you have to factor the denominators that you're given, if they factor. Maybe if you have a number like 5, it doesn't break down, but 6 would be 2 times 3. And then I'm going to write that you're going to build the LCD from those building blocks. And when I say build it, that's where we took one of this and one of those, and we took everything from one fraction and then put on there whatever wasn't there when we moved to the other. Okay, go back and listen, I said it better than in the other video. Okay, after we found the lowest common denominator, then we need to find the new numerators. I'm going to say tops instead of writing numerators. Okay, so we need to rewrite the fraction. We need to call 1/2, we need to call it 5/10, or maybe 3/6, or maybe 10 over 20 instead of 1/2. So we rewrite the fractions. Then we combine the tops, keep the bottom. Okay, by combine the tops, usually there is a distributive property and we spread everything out, and then when we combine things back together, we only combine like terms. Step 4 is reduce if possible. Alright, so it's going to be on the right side. Oops, not what I wanted to do. I'm going to do this. Sorry, I'll get it back for you. So the steps there on the right side, go ahead and pause the video, write down the 3 problems from the left side, and then when you turn the video back on, you can see if you're on the right path or not. Alright, this first one up top, if you notice, the denominators are already the same. So we can really go straight to the step where it says combine the tops, keep the bottom. Now, when I go to the reduce step, I'm going to have to factor the denominator if I hadn't already done that. So when we add the tops together, remember that 6 and x are not like terms, which means we can't combine them together into a single term, which means we just have to leave it as 6 plus x. When we look at the top and the bottom, we notice that 6 plus x is the same as x plus 6, and so those 2 things go away. Now, anytime you have something divided by itself, it's equal to 1. And oftentimes we don't write those ones down. But if it's the only thing left on the top of the fraction, then we have to write it down to hold its place. And on the bottom we have x minus 3. Alright. On the next one, we factor the denominators. We build the lowest common denominator. I did not leave myself room. Sorry, I'm going to squish. We rewrite the numerators. I guess this is really plus and negative. We distribute. And this one's going to end up a lot like the one we just finished. Up above, when we put the tops together, one of those factors, of course x minus 1 doesn't break down anymore, but there is an x minus 1 on the bottom that goes away with the 1 from the top. So on the top it leaves behind a 1 in its place, and we have that on the bottom. On the bottom one, we can only factor the middle of the denominators and pull out the x out of that. Okay. Times the 7 is the x, that's the extra piece that shows up. The negative 6 doesn't need to change. It already is over our common denominator. And the negative 3 needs a factor of x minus 2. If we combine our like terms, there, it looks like we have just a plain old 4x left on top. The 4 and the x are multiplied together, but they are thought of as separate things. Okay, so x divided by x goes away, and all we're left with is 4 over x minus 2. That's our final answer in lowest terms for this one. If you have questions about these, go back through, give them another shot, try them again with the video. Give me a shout, come to my office hours, send me an email, whatever we need to do. Keep practicing.